you should check out your dashboards, emails, and everything else because there is an update. Now I wanted to record, I had like 5 videos planned that I wanted to record today, but then I realized or remember that I had to update the PaperFoldFX still. So I spent the whole day doing that. And a bunch of all those hours were wasted because I just realized that there was something that I probably didn't need to do for all of these. Let me show you that. So one of the main things that was requested for the PaperFoldFX was to, first of all, here we have the effects. Now there was something with the effects, which was, I think, let me open this effect right here. And it was the vertical adaptability or compatibility. I think that's the word. But basically, the way that it was so that it was more automatic or easier to work with when it was on vertical mode or in different modes actually, right? Let's change the resolution right here. So make sure that's not on top of something. And you will see that now we can see that there is a sort of like a preset that shows up automatically for the effect that fills the whole screen, right? That's one of the additions that I added. Now, if you go back to a normal resolution right here, then we have it adapted automatically. So now you don't have to worry about that. And you still have the controls right here for the effect to change the position and all that stuff. It's just an extra layer of controls that I added. Now, if you want me to show you, sure, I can show you. So the way that this works is I added these, let me get rid of these. So I added these auto background, or I just renamed these. And this one is set to auto resolution, right? So whenever this changes, that changes. And then I added this transform node that is basically making sure that setting up the default position for these for when it's going to be vertical or in 4K. I'll show you, there's a few transitions that I had to add, one for the vertical, one for the 4K format, and then one for the 1920 format. So that's why I ended up spending so many hours on these. And I actually ended up doing a whole complete thing that then I realized, well, if I just set this to automatic, like the auto resolution here to automatic, that should fix the issue. And indeed, it fixed the issue for some of those transitions. I'll show you in a little bit. So if I change these to vertical, you will see that we have the effect automatically adapting. And that is because I set up this if expression on this transform node. When the resolution is set to 18, or when the width of the auto background, which is the name of that node, is set to 1080, and also the height of these is set to 1920, then it will return 1, which means that this transform node is active, and then this is affecting the paper effect, and then it's also affecting the masks right here. That's why I have this instance of it right there as well. This one right here is what I ended up doing, just something super complex, because I thought, well, maybe I should try to do that. So I had another copy, basically mirrored, but then this one is only set up to a vertical mode, and then this one is set to automatic, so it works on horizontals, whatever the size is. But so I think this one is set still to default. No, I've set it up to automatic already. So this one adapts itself as well. And I ended up creating this expression for this. So when this background was set to 1080 by 1920, so 1080 by 1920, then this would also be 1080 by 1920. And then I realized that I was just doing the same thing as just setting it to automatic. And I realized that after I had already gone through all of them. So yeah, I wasted a bunch of hours, but I learned a bunch of stuff. So it's not a losing time if you learn something, I guess, right? Now, let me show you the ones that I've created that transform preset for. This one, for example, this one has the transform preset for each resolution. So because if you were to change to 4K, then this would have a little bit of a zoom in. It was not going to be the same. So I decided, well, if I'm already here, I've already done the vertical one, and then I've also done the 4K one. So I ended up having to add also another one for 1920. And then the only difference here on the expressions here is that we have these two. Hold on, this one doesn't have it. Well, it's a perfect time to actually show you then, maybe. Let me, so it doesn't crash. Timeline is bigger. Now, this one is adapting correctly, I think, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, so this one is adapting correctly, but let me show you on this one that I think this one does have the preset, or the third preset. Vertical preset. Wait, hold on. Where is this? This one definitely has that preset. Yeah, this one has the preset right here. I started thinking like, wait, maybe I just dreamed of adding those things, and I was like, no, there's no way. So yeah, here we have the vertical preset. Here we have the 4K preset, and it's only, the only difference is that this one is actually only activated when the actual background or the auto background right here is set. Since this is set to automatic, then that only activates when that happens. And then this one is set to 1920 by 1080, so it's another horizontal format. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. This took me a bunch of time, but I think it should all be working properly now. There shouldn't be any issues with that. But if there is, let me know, and I'll try to fix this. All right, and then let me show you, since we're already here, the other thing that I've added for, I made a little post about it, I think, for the TextFX. Right here, TextFX. So for the TextFX, I brought the motion blur controls right here to the edit page, to the titles page, to the text page. So you can now activate these from right here, because first of all, they're all going to be off by default. And then if you stack a bunch of them, more animated text, we have a bunch of them stacked on top of each other. I can actually use the layout maybe like these quickly. Right, now if we press play, even if our timeline is set to 4K, it plays properly. But when you activate motion blur, it's gonna lag a little bit. So you just want to do this as the last step. So if you were working on a bunch of different ones, usually once you double click or once you open these again that you want to adjust things, it will bring you to this text window. What ended up happening was that you had to go all the way to settings right here and then activate the motion blur from here and make the changes. And then you had to select another one, go there, settings, then there. And then if you have a bunch of texts, that is a lifetime of clicking and going all the way to settings and having to do that there. So I decided, well, let me just bring these all the way to the first page that usually opens by default. So that is the small update for the TextFX pack. There's still a few other things that I want to figure out with these, but it's still, those are still in the process, and those might take a little bit longer. In the meantime, those are the updates. If you have these packs, make sure to go and check out your email, because you should have received an email about this. And if you haven't received an email for some reason, make sure to just check out your order page. There should be a link to your dashboard right there. Well, your order email or order confirmation email. I think there should be something like that. And you can either search for Fordwell or Lemon Squeezy. If you don't remember which one you used to buy it, just use that. And if you don't have these, make sure to go to the links in the description and check them out right there. They will make your life easier. That is it for this little update video. Bye.